Well, let's get to our very special guest. He's on the line. A great win. It's a second win at home for the Gold Coast Titans. 28 points to 8 against his old side, the Seagulls. Kieran Foran is on the line. How are you, Foz?
Yeah, going well, thanks, guys.
So I know that you always pull up sore after a game, but you're not as sore when you pull up after a win, but even more so against when you're playing some of your really good mates in rugby league. So how's the body this morning, Foz?
Yeah, I'm pretty sore this morning, Sats, but happy. I've got a smile on my face, and that was the big thing we spoke about through the week. It's been a really tough couple of months for us, and we haven't performed to our potential in the way we would have liked. But we knew we just had to claw our way to a victory, just to get on the board and get some confidence there. And mate, super proud of the effort last night. Like, I just thought the way in which we hung in there, especially in the second half, was awesome.
Well, you didn't just grind your way to a win. You blew them off the park, Foz. It didn't look great at the start with that early try to Ruben Garrett, but it looked like it was a different game plan last night. You played a lot more expansive, and didn't matter what part of the field it was. Early in the tackle count, you were getting 2 and 3 passes together. Was that something you identified when looking at Manly throughout the week?
It sure was, mate. We spoke about that. The coaches got to us throughout the week and came up with a really, I guess, we wanted to move the ball. That was our attack plan with Manly. We noticed that they were really compressed in yardage. They defend quite tight. And, we felt with our speed and the way in which, we shift the footy, that we could make easy yards on them, especially early in sets. So it's always nice when you practice something and you train for it, and then, you're able to execute it. So that was pleasing in the first half.
Foz, I know it's been a while since you played at Manly, but what are the emotions, I guess, for yourself and for Des coming up against some of your good mates, and particularly DCE, and obviously you would have felt for him the fact that he was dropped from the Queensland team as captain and halfback. How was that like for you running out there last night?
Yeah, look, it's always great when you come up against your old mob. I've said a number of times, really great mates with a lot of those boys still, and as you touched on, played the majority of my footy alongside those guys, and especially alongside Daly. So it's always enjoyable when you get to come up against them and shake hands at the end of the game, and especially after a win. But certainly really feeling for Ches at the moment. After the week he's had, my heart just goes out to him, mate. You can just see that he's he's hanging in there, but it's been a tough week for him. But he'll be right. I know he'll dust himself off, and mate, he'll come out better and stronger for it at the end.
Speaking of people who were dropped from the Maroon side, I thought Beau Fermor was outstanding. There were a couple of tackles he made. There was that one on Haumole Kawatu where he dislodged the ball. And there was another one where Jason Saab made a break, and he was one of the guys that actually rounded him up and made the tackle. Just huge efforts with and without the football from Beau.
Oh, you're spot on, Adrian. I mean, Beau's I reckon he's been one of our best performers all year, and he was really unfortunate to get left out of that Origin side for game 2. But his response was exceptional last night. I mean, he's all heart, he's all effort. You know what you're going to get from him. He's one of our most reliable players, and as you touched on, he never stops working, mate. He came up with a couple of Perla try saves last night for the team.
Hey, Foz, we've got a text on the text line from Azza from DY. It says, can you ask Foz what was a week like after Desi? He gave it to the team last weekend. In the press conference, he says, it's up to the players to change everything. So, obviously the response comes to the win, but throughout the week, could you see the tempo and training rise for whatever reason?
Oh, look, one thing I'll say about Des, he's a true professional and he's experienced. And although he sort of challenged the side at the end of last week's match, and he was bitterly disappointed with the way in which we started that game. He was back to business this week. His mind was fully focused on preparing us for Manly, and he felt that it was a real winnable game for us, this one. Although we were missing a couple of guys to Origin, he just felt like if we started well and we were able to execute the plan that we wanted to go into the game with, that we would be every chance. And the week was pretty straightforward for us. We trained well. We dusted ourselves off after the Broncos loss, and and got over that disappointment. And then, there was just a good feeling heading into last night's match.
As you talk about Des Hasler, he has been such a massive part of your career, your whole career progression and journey. Has he changed? Has he mellowed? Is he the same Des as he was all those years ago when you were a young guy coming up under him at the Seagulls?
Yeah, look, he's always going to be that same character. I mean, he's intense. He's deliberate about his coaching style. His preparation is absolutely off the Richter. His love and care for his players is still really high. So, look, all those attributes I don't think will ever leave Desi. And he's certainly coached through a number of different eras now. So, being able to evolve and change and relate to the guys is something he's continually working on. And mate, they love him. Even all these years on, I think back to when I was a young bloke coming through at Manly as an 18, 19-year-old, and just how much I looked up to him because he just cared so much about me when I was coming through. And, I watched the way our young guys, Keanu, Kinney, JC, Tino, Bo, AJ, I could name a list of them. They hang off every word he says. And that's what he's like, He just wants to educate these guys as fast as he can and be as deliberate as he can with what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, well said, Foz. Now, we can talk wax lyrical, I should say, about AJ Brimson and how outstanding he was last night. But I like to focus on the guys that fly under the radar. Chris Randall, now, he was amazing again last night. He's an undersized forward that plays wherever you need him to play. But I keep hearing stories about Chris Randall, Foz. He just seems to be the perfect club man.
He sure is, Randy. He's mate. The boys absolutely love him. You could see that when he scored that try at the end. I mean, the guys just got around him. He's so loved by all the boys, and I think you touched on it there. The reason he's so loved, mate, is he's so selfless in his approach to his footy. I mean, he's filled in. I mean, in his time at the Titans, he's filled in nearly every position that the coach and that the clubs needed him to fill in, and he doesn't shirk it. He buys in wholeheartedly to whatever role he's got to play for the side. And mate, I was really happy for him to get the reward last night, and I said that to him at the end of the game. He's been turning up every week and trying to play as hard as he can, and that was a well-deserved try for him at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as a veteran of the game, Foz, you must love looking back and seeing young players when they're getting ready to make their debuts, because you have young Tukey Simpkins and also Josh Paxton last night playing for the Titans, playing their first game for the Titans. You must enjoy watching the start of their careers.
Yeah, it was great. It's great. It's you just see the excitement on their faces throughout the week and what it means to them and their families. And, it's easy to get caught up in the results of our game and the disappointment. But we actually touched on that through the week, that it would be a really special night to actually win this game for these two guys. They've both worked incredibly hard. Young Tookie, hasn't played in an NRL game for 4 or so years, and that's persistence. And then Josh Patson's 26. So you talk about guys that have, I guess, experience the highs and lows of our game and still being able to hang in there and turn up every day and apply themselves to the best of their capabilities. So, it's great to be able to reward those guys with a win.
Foz, what's next for you? Obviously, we've got the second half of the season to go. There's some hope that you can still do some damage in this competition, but do you hang them up at the end of this season? Do you want to remain involved in rugby league? What are your thoughts about the next stage of your career?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure just yet, Adrian. I mean, I've always said, my rugby league will tell me when it's time to retire. And I guess it's been a tough year to get a read on that for me so far, in the sense that I missed the first 11 weeks. And, I'm fully focused on coming back and playing the best possible footy that I can play, and get as many wins as I can with the Titans. And look, one thing I'll say is I'm still as hungry as ever. I'm still training as hard as I've ever trained, and I'm pushing myself as hard as I can. And the desire to win and want to win is still there. So, I'm not going to rule anything out, mate. Whilst ever I'm playing good footy and I want to compete at this level, then I'll just keep doing it for as long as I can, and eventually, there'll come a time where I can no longer do it and play and compete at the level that I want to be able to do it at. So, look, I'll take each week as it comes at the moment, and sooner or later I'll come to a decision on what next year looks like.
Yeah, nice. Now, you play with plenty of speedsters in your career, Foz. The Snake, Brett Stewart. There's one at Manly at the moment, Jason Saab, who we all think's the fastest, but he took off down that right touchline last night. Lofi Khan-Pereira gave him about 3 metres head start and caught him in about 5 steps. I mean, he's got to be up there with one of the fastest you've played with at least.
I think he's the fastest for sure.
Yeah.
In what I've seen, one thing I'll say, I've never seen a player as quick over the first 10 or 20. Like his first 10 or 20 metres, I think, would leave anyone in the NRL for dead. And then, his ability to sustain that speed is as good as anyone I've seen as well. You touched on it last night. Saab's an absolute flyer, but he mowed him down. So, yeah, look, I've never seen anyone with Lofi's speed, mate. It's quite incredible, actually.
Hey, before I let you go, Foz, you're saying you've still got the hunger to play rugby league, but you don't have the hunger to play golf anymore. You're not playing golf during the footy season. What's happening?
Don't start, Sats, I tell you. My golf game's horrible at the moment. I haven't played in about 4 months since I had the injury to the bicep, and I keep getting asked when I'm going to get back out on the glades and have a hit again, and I've banned golf for the rest of the year. I'm not playing it. I've decided I'm going to wait till the off-season and then I'll get back into it. So, I think I'll just park that one for the time being.
Well,
how's your game going?
My game's going all right. Now, the last time we played AP and listeners, he shot something like 44 points Stableford, which is absolute highway robbery. So, hey, Foz, one of our good friends, Temper, they sponsor our show for the player that would have had the best night's sleep. So you're sitting back, you're watching all of your team last night, and you have a pretty good night's sleep, I'd think, after every game. But who's a player in the Titans who would have had a good night's sleep last night?
Oh, mate, I'm going to say Brimo.
Yeah.
I thought he was outstanding. I thought Brimo was outstanding. Mate, I love the line breaks he made and just his footy. He's another one. He's just so explosive, and, mate, the sky's the limit for that bloke. So, it's quite incredible. I'm sure he would have slept well.
Yeah, good shout. It creates a concern, but when you got Keanu coming back at some stage. Hey, have a great weekend. Good win last night, Foz. Hope you've pulled up injury-free, and have a great weekend with the family. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday morning.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Ta.